Welcome to the Daily HiFi podcast, everybody. My name is Chana. With me, as always, we've got Joe and Aaron today. What is going on, fellas?
What's up?
Yo, woo! I'm so glad it's
What up?
Monday. Damn.
Woo!
Just thinking about my weekend, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
That was crazy. I had a triple header. I had a wedding to DJ on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And both on Friday and Saturday, it rained for quite a bit of time. So that was definitely interesting having to navigate all that. But yesterday's was actually pretty chill because I didn't have to deal with all the nonsense. But yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
When's the last time you guys pulled an all-nighter? Like you just didn't sleep for a night?
Dude,
When's
I
the
do
last
that
time?
every Monday, bro.
Yeah.
I do
Are you
it every
serious?
Monday. Every
Ugh.
fucking Monday.
Really?
Yeah. I have a graveyard shift tonight. I woke
Like-
up at 10 a.m. this morning. I'm going
Uh-huh.
to be awake until 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Ah,
Like I do
Okay.
a full 24 hours every Monday. And
That
you know what?
explains it.
Sorry. Let me
Yeah.
just say this one thing. I usually don't get that must be nice comment, except for somebody that never, watches the channel. But I got one the other day because of this gaming room setup, my video.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, and all these, I work hard for my money, and the companies just send you all this stuff. Oh, like, okay. SVS sent me the one subwoofer. Everything else, all the other like $5,000 I spent in here was, over the last 2 years getting this room ready. And then yeah, I do an all-nighter. I do a 24-hour day every Monday. And then I had just had 3 weddings, and I'm on my feet for like about 14 hours every wedding day, right? Of course, I was contracted for like little around $9,000 for the weekend. So,
Yeah.
And dude can work as hard as he wants, if he doesn't find the right thing to do. Like I don't know. It seems really stupid. Like I'm like half the time I'm like Aaron, I'm like, dude, should I comment? Should I let this bother me? Should I just like leave it alone? But I have 3 jobs and then the YouTube channel. So yeah, I buy a lot of stuff. And then there's of course SVS sent me a subwoofer. I've made over 700 videos in the past 6 years, which take 5 to 7 hours to edit. So yeah, you guys can do the math. There's a lot of time and work involved. So if somebody wants to send me something, yeah. Good for me.
Yep.
good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This company asked me to review this like projector. That's like, they're like, we'll let you keep it. It's $3,000. I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. What am I gonna do with another projector that's gonna sit in the garage?
Right.
Like, it's gonna be in a box. Okay. What's the point of that? So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, Aaron, when's the last time? Oh, he pulled an all-nighter last night. Look at him.
No, man. I just
Yeah,
tired.
that's how he grew the beard, all in one night.
It grew
Just one
overnight.
night.
No, I don't
So
know
you
the
don't
last
do
time.
that, huh?
I don't. Well, I mean, because I work like a normal, not a 9 to 5, but mine's like a 6:30 to 3:30. But
All right.
yeah, so I don't really have. You know what I'm saying? Like if I did an all nighter, it would crush me.
Dude,
I wouldn't be able to go to work.
I see.
Would the overnighter be like Ivan Drago? I must break you. That's how what it's gonna be.
I was break you.
Yeah, it's just so I did one like 2 nights ago, and normally it wouldn't be a
Why?
big deal, but why?
Just
Because
like you were just
dude,
working.
I was just interested in something, like
Yeah.
something audio related, and I just got like, and I'm like, who needs
Is
sleep?
this the audio guy
Yeah.
can't get his speakers to work? Is this?
Yeah,
Is this what it was?
yeah, something like that. So yeah, just yeah, I was interested in something, and then next thing I know, the kids are all awake, everybody's awake. I'm like, and then my mom and my sister were gonna come over. I'm like, all right, well, they're not gonna come over. I'm gonna sleep all day. So I just did what I had to do, stayed up, but I don't know how you do that, Chana. Because that day it was cool, like it was all right. Like I felt all right. But the next day,
Yeah,
The next day
that's
is
the
what
next
gets you.
day.
even
Man, I
after
think-
you get some sleep and you're like, I'm not. Yeah.
I
Anyway,
really think the extra gray hairs on my head are due to the fact that I don't sleep. Like,
Ugh.
and then my whole sleep schedule's all messed up for the next
Oh, I
2
bet.
days. And then I've got old man bladder, so as soon as I need to pee, I'm up and I go to the bathroom, and then I can't go back to sleep, and I've only
Yeah.
slept for 4 hours. I'm like, God, it's noon. Like if I'm lucky enough to go to sleep by 8 a.m., but then a lot of these companies like Singe wants they're like, what's your
Sing.
availability?
Why
Singe?
Singe?
Sing Cell, whatever.
Sing?
Sing a lot of
Oh,
doodah.
Singe.
They want to do some sort of virtual demo or some nonsense, and I'm like, okay, well, I do graveyard shifts, so I'm still awake at like 8 a.m. if you want to do a call. They're like, oh yeah, that sounds great. So now I have to do that too, after being awake for so long. So it's just,
what's a virtual demo?
I don't know, man. It's like this, and they just do the demo. Like if you were doing the demo now, I guess I think that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see.
I don't know. But yeah. Overnighters. I've been doing one 24-hour day for the past 6 years. I've been working there every week.
Wow.
No, I might have one week off, for a vacation. But for the most part, yeah. People always ask, how do you afford all this stuff? That it's not from YouTube 100%. It's because I actually work a whole lot. And even when I'm at work, like tonight, I have 2 weddings come Friday, Saturday. I'll be collecting all the music tonight at work while I'm working for somebody else. So, luckily I can double dip that way, because all they want me to do is make sure I'm awake, the building doesn't burn down, and a bear doesn't walk into the lobby. Simple, right? Simple.
Yep, that works.
And I've seen the bear walk in, and I saw you're a pro at that.
Oh,
Have you ever had to deal with a bear, Aaron?
Just one time, and I won the fight. Ricky. His name was Ricky.
Is that the same guy? Is that the same one that attacked you?
Yeah. The same bear.
I mean, Chana.
Same exact bear.
That Ricky, dude. Always Ricky.
Oh, tricky Ricky.
Yeah, no, I see Chana's tricky in action, like,
oh yeah, the security camera shows me chasing the bear out.
The funny thing is, that you go out there and you start cussing as if it like understands what.
Yeah.
Well,
the bear's like,
you go.
It's just noise. It's just noise. I'll clap my hands, stomp my feet. It's just noise. They get scared of the noise.
Isn't that a song? Clap your hands.
Everybody.
Stomp your feet.
I don't know, but
you know that song. I know you know. Anyway,
I know what you're talking about, and I made sure that was not played at our wedding. I said specifically to the DJ, I don't want that song. I know the ants are gonna ask for that, so they can all pretend like they know how to dance.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's instructions. There's instructions that tell you what to do.
Clap your hands. Right.
Yeah.
Move to the right.
I don't want to hear.
I
don't want that.
Right. The Cupid shuffle, the wobble, all those things.
Cupid shuffle.
Do you know how many times I get asked to play the Cupid shuffle?
Look. See, Angela, 2 steps to the right. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't want to hear that.
Now something.
So of course, I specifically told the DJ I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
But like, towards the end of the night,
somebody got loose.
Guess what? Yeah.
You got
After
loose.
enough requests, he's just I'm gonna get paid anyway.
Yeah, I'm already paid.
Let these people be happy. So I heard it. I'm like, all right, okay. I'll let it slide.
It's funny because there was this one wedding a few years back, and like on my questionnaire, what they want to hear, all their like walking down the aisle songs. There's a do not playlist, and I say I don't mind taking requests from your guests, but if it conflicts with the do not play, I won't play it. And so there's it's usually like a bunch of songs, or like don't play the classic YMCA, don't play on any of that, or like one time it just said Cupid Shuffle, and I was just like, wow, that's pretty odd. It's very specific. It's just one song, and then sure enough, bride's cousin, like during open dancing, comes up, hey man, can you play Cupid Shuffle? I'm like, no. He's like, what? I'm like, it's the only song on the do not playlist. And he's like, so I was laughing on the inside because she knew dude was going to come and ask to play this. And she was like, no, veto. So I didn't play it.
Anyway, funny stuff.
That's the jam right there, man.
Yeah.
Do you join in, Aaron?
On the Cupid Shuffle?
Yeah. Honest.
I'm trying to remember.
I don't think I've ever done it.
I'm thinking.
Down,
do you dance?
I don't know. I'll dance. I'll get in there, but just not that specific one. Like
the only dance I know is the Thriller dance, and I just go like this.
Yeah, I don't like people telling me what to do, even when it comes to dancing. Like,
even when it comes
me what to do.
How often do you have to deal with that?
I'll figure out what to do.
I deal with it all the time. Hey, check this out. So this is the first
Bro, that's
weekend
racist.
I have the white,
White
package.
package?
Look, the white package is now available for my weddings. As you
dang,
can
look
see,
at
it
you.
looks really nice in the like all white. And then oh yeah, randomly they're like, "Hey, change of plans. This guy's gonna sing." I'm like, "Oh great, good thing I brought an extra mixer." Like,
Okay, I thought that was you.
sometimes no, that wasn't me. That was me. And this is at the end of the night. This is Friday. Oh, little
Aw.
LED light send off thingamajig. But yeah, got to use the white package on Friday. Then went to the black package again on Saturday and Sunday. It sounds so bad. But anyway, got to get my marketing materials up.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it alone, but there's a lot of things I want to add to that.
Just leave the package alone, Eric.
I'm not gonna touch the package.
Shout out to everybody in the chat, by the way.
Yeah.
I see
I've been
you guys.
putting up your comments up there. Snoot says, I work night shift too. I can't do the 24-hour thing anymore to switch over every week. I break my sleep up into 2 small blocks now. Oh, morning. Oh, I hate that,
Snoots.
yeah.
I think Snoots is the guy one time who made the comment that he couldn't listen to me talk because of my accent, if I remember correctly.
You have an
Is that
accent?
what you said? Nah,
Yeah.
it's cool.
Thank you for Thank you for the $5 super chat, Kamish. I hope nobody sent any money anywhere. As you heard, I work too much. I don't need to swindle people out of money.
Thanks for the super chat, by the way.
Yes.
Dude.
A little AVR versus pre-pro talk later.
Oh,
Home Theater
isn't that
Joe?
the whole video today? That's
Yeah, the
awesome.
video was out there. I listened to
Oro
it while
3D
I was
calls.
emptying out my car. Juan, there's another graveyard person. I only work 3 nights, so there's another person.
Oh, and he hates when you go on vacation.
Well, other people like pick up the slack, but you know,
Slackers. That's what we
Yeah.
call them.
I don't really go on too many vacations. I might have to in September for Vid Summit. Oh, and then somebody wants me to DJ a wedding on a Tuesday.
Going up.
Must be their anniversary or something. Or is the cheapest they could get.
That's and they're like, yeah, do we get a discount? I'm like, no, because now I have to find somebody to work my Monday night and Tuesday night shift. So I'm gonna just charge you more.
That's right.
Yeah.
Twice as much. I'll make up the difference.
Oh, wow.
I think we should discuss buying for aesthetics. Wire that looks cool but inexpensive, fat power cables, and LED lighting. Sprucing up the rig to get that oh wow factor.
Go for it. If
Yeah,
anybody tells you that you can't buy the cables that you want, tell them to shut up.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you want to buy cables because they look cool, buy cables because they look cool, man.
Yeah.
How about that thing I showed you with the gauges? That's like $130, and you put it.
Anybody
in
who pays
line
that
and
much
all
money
of
for
this-
cables is stupid. Oh, sorry. I just became a hypocrite. No, I'm serious. What were you talking about? I don't recall that has gauges.
There's like this inline thing that you add to your amp, and it just gives you the VU meters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember that.
Remember, I think I sent you a link. They're not blue, they're yellow. So
Yeah.
I have.
Well, I've come across a bunch too, like on eBay and stuff like that, that just like total knockoffs. But
I mean, hey, how about this? What do we make just an inline signal booster?
nobody's ever done that before. Let's just do one.
Inline signal booster. It'll
almost like amplify things.
It'll make you hear the angels in the highs and feel the chocolatey bass right in your bum.
Right in your chocolatey bass area.
That's right. Exactly. And let's make it. Let's charge $1,000 for it. You'll need it for each speaker. So that's 11,000 in an 11-channel setup. Easy. Done.
Does this work?
Yeah.
You see this thing?
Yep, I do remember that now. Because it made me think of
that thing.
a pile that makes me think of, you guys know PYLE. It makes me think of something they make.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah. Oh, it's high level? Is that what it is?
Oh,
I thought they're going to be RCAs. Oh, okay.
Oh,
so it'll work with everything.
You just plug it straight into your speaker wires.
Every speaker you
you
can have
get
a set of these on it, right?
Let's go.
Every speaker.
How much is
Anyway.
it? $150? I might just buy it just to fucking check it out.
Why not?
I'm going to review it.
Hey, I bet you'd get a lot of views on that thing anyway.
I'm going to review it. Now I'm going to go Google for power meters.
Bob Moore says, hi guys, been looking for a year or so, went to school on your videos and finally finished my 5.2.4 basement setup today.
Wow.
Thanks for all that you do. Learned a ton from you. You're very welcome, Bob. Very welcome. Happy to do
Awesome,
it.
Bob.
Happy to do it. Leon says, you must have energy to be doing all that, and then your YouTube channel. And don't forget, there's also a wife, kid, and 2 puppies at home. So like, I gotta walk those suckers.
Walk.
The
You can walk your wife and kid. Oh,
the puppies. I said wife, kid, and 2 puppies at home. I gotta walk the puppies.
you said I gotta walk them suckers.
Yes, I gotta walk the woofers. I gotta walk the woofers.
Walk the woofers. Waka waka. Listen, all I know is that if I want one channel of meters, there's a DIY kit for $27 on Amazon. Yeah.
What color?
It's the same. It looks like the same. It's just the window portion of it. It doesn't come with a remote though. That kind of stinks. What else is there? A mic. Ooh, there's a mic one.
Dude, so there you go. So if you want to make some like DIY active speakers, that'll be your thing. You can just have those built into the
that would
enclosure,
be awesome.
right?
I should totally do that. Yeah.
There it is.
Done.
Good to have you here, Leon, from the UK. Juan's got a question.
Yeah, I saw
what do you
that.
think about the recent trends on companies not related to audio companies acquiring audio companies? TrueNup just got sold a few days ago.
I didn't hear about that.
I did not.
I think what is it? Macintosh got bought out by somebody.
Yeah, I
else
saw
too,
that last week sometime, I think. Oh, great. Now it's just gonna make their stuff even more expensive. Did you guys see where they came out with that box?
The box, the light box.
$1,500. I was like, I thought for sure that had to be a joke, but they never said it was a joke.
Sure.
That's insane.
Macintosh light box.
Yeah, you need to pull that up just so people can see it because they wouldn't believe it.
So, like, what do I think about it? I don't know. I don't understand what they're gonna do with these companies, right? Like, I don't know.
They're just
I don't really have a solid opinion. I haven't put too much thought into it. Initially, I would think that I don't know. I think it might not be a great thing.
Yeah,
there it is.
People who were into audio.
What is this about? What does this do?
I mean, I can't believe that that's a real thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay, so they don't show the back like hollowed out. Like you can actually put stuff back here. So like the whole idea is like if you got a streaming player, like let's say if you have a whole bunch of Macintosh stuff and you got a streamer box, but that streamer box is whatever. So you just put it behind this thing, and now it all looks like Macintosh.
So is this before they got acquired? This is what they're making?
This was like a couple days ago. I think it might have been right after. Because I think I saw that they were acquired before this.
Because if this is what they're making, then I don't know how much worse can get.
Well, I mean, so I doubt the acquisition had anything to do with this, but yeah, this is just dumb. You know, like I don't understand it. I even saw Macintosh people like in a Macintosh group who are saying like, why? Like, what are y'all doing? You know, and then people were showing their equipment racks and saying like, it wouldn't even match my meters. It doesn't even make sense for me to own something like this. So it's kind of crazy.
All right. Well, yeah, I don't know. What I would rather have is some rich ass audiophile guy buy up like a company, right? You want a dude who's like super into it. But when you get some like company that's not even related, just medical company, whatever, like what are they going to do with this? Is it going to be good? You know, money.
Oro 3D.
Oro 3D. Yeah, they can.
Apple does the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get what how they're gonna work together. But
Juan says, "My bad. It was Macintosh. It is not TrueNup."
Oh, okay. Macintosh. All right.
I was just like, that's odd.
You have any opinions on that? Shauna, Mike? No, Michael's not here.
What?
Where's he at?
Yeah, my opinion would be I'm with you. You know, like if it's people who care about the hobby, then I'm all for it, you know. But if it's people who don't, I think we've seen a lot of instances where companies come in and buy something just to make money, and then they think things wind up getting worse.
Right, like that $1 billion sale of Sound United, right? To that like little like a
medical
gadget maker, the medical people.
Yeah.
I forget the name.
Which I don't know if we're seeing ramifications from that yet. I don't know.
I mean, somebody asked in the chat earlier, like, when's the timing for the next Denon AVR or Marantz AVR? And well, I don't know. I haven't heard
question,
anything.
Right? What can they do to it? Is there any new? It's usually an HDMI thing, right? Can they add anything HDMI related?
They added they add stuff and they take away stuff like that Dolby Atmos height virtualization. Like that was like one of the things. Like okay, whatever.
The new update, Chana, will be that they don't require that external box to make all the stuff work, right?
Oh, that's
Like
already done. It's already done.
Really? It just works without that? Oh, okay. So what are they gonna do now?
There's a serial number that's one of the digits. If there's a 7 and above, then you know it's already there. So everything that I have in stock, shameless plug, Denon Marantz has a fix already installed. But yeah, I don't think anything. I mean, those were released in 2020, right? So it's been 2 years since. Of course, there's like the shortage and the like chip shortage and all that. You know. Stuff.
Yeah, I wonder how much that plays into it. Because if they release a new product, are they even going to be able to stock it? You know?
Yeah, manufacture enough units and all that kind of stuff. What's going on back here?
Oh, Juan says, "Is Phil Jones still at Sound United? Haven't seen him upload a video to their YouTube channel. As far as I know, he is
something on LinkedIn about his anniversary with Sound United. So I think he's still there.
Yeah, he's still over there. I don't know why he's not adding to that, their channel anymore." All right. So,
some new acquisitions here. Joe, where are you, bro?
Oh, okay.
Get it, man. It's
all right,
dude. It's
all right.
Oh yeah, Game of Thrones. Yeah. Oh, this one. Somebody said this one was good. Last night in Soho, they said this one was good.
Okay.
So, and then I got some Westworld.
Okay.
You guys seen Westworld?
Nope.
Oh, you guys like sci-fi stuff? It's pretty legit. Definitely not for kids. 100% not for kids. But I actually got the Game of Thrones and the Westworld for a video on Zapidi tips. So
what you call it?
Zapidi.
You know what I was working on when I pulled that all-nighter?
Oh, what were you on?
Impulse response and like convolution
reverb.
Oh,
yeah.
How's that going? What are you using for that?
I was just testing out a few different VSTs to see, what would do the best job.
Right.
So I'm still trying to figure that out.
What did you land? Because there was 2 that I found. I'm curious. One was like just straight convolver or something like that. I can't remember what the name of it was now.
So maybe for the folks who don't know, the cool thing is that everybody here knows. I know Chana knows.
Who do I know?
Use that?
Which one?
Convolution.
Yeah, convolution reverb. Heck yeah, I use it on keyboards and anything I want to have like light, airy with a bunch of different reflections all around.
Yeah.
Right. I will use a EMT 140, EMT 140, EPT, ET 140 plate reverb for drums and percussion. And I will use a really, really short what the Lexicon 224 for short reverb for vocals. Unless they need to be like ethereal vocals, and then I'll pop in the convolution after a short reverb. So that you can double up on your reverbs.
So you're coming at it from like a production
creative standpoint. Yeah. So
so
I know what all this stuff is. I've been knowing what all this stuff is for over a decade because I used it.
So for the
how
folks
it works,
who don't know,
I don't really know how it works. I know what it does.
I'll get into that.
Okay.
So for the folks who don't know, I guess convolution convolution is basically taking 2 signals to create a third signal, something like that. I think mathematically speaking, I think that's what's happening. But yeah, it's kind of crazy the practical things you can do with it. So first you need an impulse response, right? So impulse would be, imagine like a clap or pretty much like a clap, right?
Some sort of like the initial sound, right?
Initial sound, theoretically you'd want it to be instantaneous, right? An instant sound. And during that one instant moment, you want all the frequencies played equally. Right? So that's hard to do. Your clap, I'm sure, is not perfectly perfect frequency response, but you can do it digitally. So you can send out a signal that's an impulse response. Or what's kind of interesting is that REW, you do a sweep. Everybody knows the microphone sweep, whoop, right?
Love that sound.
That's sweeping all the frequencies, but then it can take all that and then combine it as if it was one instantaneous sound, right? And what you can do with that is kind of crazy. Is basically you can, I would say you can recreate your room. You know, like you have a profile of your room with that impulse response. Is that about right? Am I saying anything incorrect, Aaron?
I mean, I don't use it for that, but
Okay.
I think so. Like, so what I've been using it for, and I haven't put any of this stuff out yet because I'm scared to.
You're scared to?
Yeah, no, I'll explain. Well, I'm scared that, like, you know, like it's kind of like when you tell somebody something, but you don't tell them the whole story, or like how things can be misconstrued,
Sure.
you know, like misinterpreted. So I've just not gotten to the point where I feel comfortable enough with putting it out there. But so what I've been doing though is, like, with the Clipple, I can extract impulse response after it's done measuring all the points in space. It gives me the acoustic or the anechoic response, and I can extract the impulse response from that. So then in MATLAB, I wrote a script up to take a song, any song I feed it, and it'll convolve it with that speaker's impulse response. And the reason I did that is because I wanted a way for people to kind of have an idea of what a speaker is doing to the song, right? So the weird thing about it is you would have to play it back over your speakers, and you'd listen to the song as is first, and then you would listen to it convolved with the anechoic response. But the problem is that you don't hear just the anechoic response. So I'm scared that people are going to misinterpret the impulse response for representing what you could hear in your room. That's what
very interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting. So it's interesting because you're approaching it in a different way than how I'm approaching it,
right?
How I'm utilizing it. But yeah, so exactly what you're saying. You can take a speaker, right? And well, let's see. Let me just kind of explain how I'm using it. So I'm actually getting the response of my room, which means that I can apply that sound to a track and let people kind of compare the two, right? So I can say, here's just the response of the room, basically.
Right.
Right. And I'll apply that to a song. Now you can compare that to my recording of the speakers, and now you have something to reference.
Right.
Right. So if I'm letting you hear these speakers in my room, well, how do you know how that sound? What are you comparing it to? You can't compare it to just the recording because that's directly into your ear.
Right.
You'd have to compare how accurate is that compared to the recording and my room. So to me, that's like an ideal speaker where all it is the room interaction.
Right.
That's the only thing affecting the sound. So yeah, that's basically how I'm using it. But then I started thinking about other crazy things where, like, what if I could tell somebody, hey, you know what? Why don't you send me an impulse response? I'll teach you how to do it. It's not very hard to get an impulse response.
Yeah, with REW, it's pretty straightforward, I think. Yeah.
Very quick. Here, take an impulse response of your room, you know, for your left speaker and your right speaker.
Right.
And then what would happen if we start combining that with your Clipple data, right? And then say, you know what? Here's an idea of how this will sound, you know, in your room to a certain extent. You know, there's going to be some reasons why that wouldn't work perfectly.
And those caveats are the hurdle that you got to clear, right? Like that's like I want to put that kind of stuff out there. So obviously we would be doing it differently. And I think, honestly, me saying it is, as weird as it sounds, I think me describing what I'm doing is probably easier for people to understand than what you're doing. Because mine is like, hey, here's the speaker. This is the impulse response of the speaker. Now you play it back over your speaker. But with yours is like, okay, I'm getting the impulse response of my room, you know, and it's a little bit more convoluted. No pun intended.
Convoluted. There you go.
Right, there you go. Yeah,
that makes sense. So
I've been holding on to that one.
The interesting thing, though, is what you're doing is that they've been doing that for music for a while, right? Like they'll have an amplifier that people love to use,
exactly,
right? Yeah. And then they'll simulate that amplifier sound, but they're using an electric guitar, and it sounds as if you're playing it through this amplifier. And
those little modeled, they do those modeled
so,
amps in like a bunch of different software,
all sorts of stuff. Yeah,
but it's very interesting the fact that you can actually extrapolate so much information with what just seems like, if I played the WAV file right now, it's like that's it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's really cool. So the reason I was asking what software you used is because when I was talking to the guys at Clipple about it, they recommended that I try he said this one, and I can't remember it's like Convolution XT or something. I was trying to find it online.
I have that one. Yeah.
Yeah, to me, that one was hard to use. Like I think it was that one. There was one of them that I was like, it felt like it should have been a lot simpler than it was, and I was like, is this thing even working? Like half the time I couldn't tell. Then I tried Fubar. I think was another one that I ran them through.
Yeah.
But honestly, man, and it's not like this is hard to do for anybody who's ever used MATLAB stuff. I pulled it up in MATLAB. It's got a built-in thing for it. So what's cool about it is I can just say, here's the song that I want you to play, and then convolve it with the IR, and now I can compare the song and the convolved version back to back, and you can get a quick idea of what the speaker is doing to the sound.
I'll tell you how amazed. This is why I stayed up all night doing this, right? And I hope this is interesting to some of you because we're just nerding out. If it's not, then I apologize. But it is what it is.
Somebody's gonna go to sleep, Joe.
That's okay. Go to sleep. So
well, they heard Oro last week, so the other guys can switch out.
So check it out. I have the speakers, and I have a measurement of certain speakers, right? And basically the measurement would be a near field, and I'm trying to reduce as much of the reflections as possible, right? I'm trying to get it as anechoic, of course I can, right?
Right.
So I'll take that measurement, and basically what I'll do is I'll add the impulse response, right? I'll convolve that, and so it makes it sound like that speaker, that measurement is in my room, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then what I can do is I can add that to the song, and then I can actually sit in my main listening position and then record the speakers with my binaural headphones and then compare the two. And then it's like, oh my God, like,
right.
That sounds the same. Like what I'm hearing, like a simulation of how it would sounds so close to the actual thing. That's what I was tripping out on.
And what's cool about that is that it's probably easier for you to do that too. You don't have to get stuff out every time you want to, you know what I'm saying? Like, hold on. No, maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. I was thinking you would be recording the impulse response from one time, but you'd have to do it for every single speaker. That's right. Never mind. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'm doing it different in that I'm trying to pretend I have an ideal speaker. I'm giving you a reference to an ideal, no effect from the speaker, just the room's effect.
I got you.
At my main listening position.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's all kinds of nutty stuff that I have to do to make that happen.
Yeah,
right?
I bet.
I have to actually take a response of a speaker, and then I have to actually apply all kinds of filters to make it perfect.
I got you. Okay.
And
so
I have an impulse response of an ideal perfect speaker.
And you can apply that every time then? Is kind of what you're thinking?
I can apply it to everything. And so I apply it to pink noise, which is kind of easy, right? You can kind of compare and see how things sound.
Right.
He's a little high strung. Who, me?
Oh, no. He's talking about somebody's going to call in later, apparently. You'd have to go back up.
Yeah. No, I'm just pumped because, like, dude, like, I thought it was so amazing. There was this one part where my microphone cut out. So I have this lav mic, right? And then I have this lav mic and the battery died on it, right? So I'm over here on this video. I don't know if that's ever happened to you. You don't know because you're just recording, right? And halfway through the thing, I have to use the mic audio or the camera audio, right? So of course that sounds terrible because it sounds far away. But then I'm like, hey, let me test out this convolver thing and see if I can make the audio from my lav mic sound like the same as the audio that's coming from the thing far away, and it sounded very close.
That's cool.
So anyway, that's it.
That's what I'm
cool
working on, man.
Hopefully I can turn it into something that you guys can maybe use to, we're always trying to enhance these demos, right?
Right.
I joked with you earlier that you're laughing at my binaural demos.
Yeah, the garbage,
man.
Man.
Use some binaural, something like that. And now you're using some binaural stuff.
Well, and actually last week, I guess it was, I was looking into, God, I can't remember the name of it now, but Sean Olive had posted something from one of these companies that have like an Ambiosonics little microphone, and it's got Dante built into it now.
Ambisonic, yeah.
Yeah. And so like, it's really cool. It's $2,000. I was like, but it's got, the software I think is what makes it, so then you just let it record and then you then you can change it to whatever you want.
Yeah, and then you can but you have to, when you're listening back, you have to listen back on headphones through
Right.
that software. So it's like because I know when last time I was at NAMM, I was talking to this guy Joe, who's a Grammy nominated mixing guy, just those dudes. And he was talking to me about it because I was asking him, how can I do like a proper audio demo of some speakers, and put it up on YouTube? He's like, oh, have you tried Ambisonic? And so he told me what it was about. And like Zoom actually has one. I think it's less, but it's not.
Yeah, it's garbage. It's garbage. That's the one. That's the one. When Joe and I were chatting earlier, he was giving me grief, and I mentioned I bought a Zoom one. It's like the H6 or the F6 or something 6, or maybe I don't remember now. And it's like $300, I think. And it's okay, but the real problem with it is the noise floor is really high, just so high, and it ruins it, man. Like the worst thing about listening to an audio system is listening to an audio system that has just constant noise. It's so annoying.
Like watching a movie at your house.
Yes, exactly. What are you trying to say, man? What are you trying to say?
You got to upgrade from that Pro Logic. On that note, thank you, Optimus, for the
come at me, bro.
Optimus, what's up, man?
Come at me, bro.
I'm just switching the subject real quick.
Yeah, you better.
Juan Hernandez, he finally stepped it up, and he's gonna have Oro 3D happening at his house. Denon X4700H just showed up. You guys sound good on an SVS 512 setup. I can hear Aaron in the right height channel, Chana in the left height channel, and Joe in the center channel. Left. Just still listening in stereo. It sounds good.
That's funny.
Somebody talk about industry standards. Doesn't always equal good. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what that means.
I don't know. You guys were talking about industry standards, something or other. I don't know.
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember even saying industry standard, but maybe I did.
Look at this guy. Look at this liar.
Look at this guy. Y'all see what this guy's saying about Techno Dad? Weird.
You should call it Bald Man's Audio Corner.
Listen,
Aaron,
I'm about to have something you can't put on the screen.
Dude, his receipt folder is getting really big right now.
Dude, I'm telling you. And the worst thing about this is for you, it's on video.
He's got a receipt folder that's like Chana saying.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy is that I can't remember like important stuff that I need to for work, but I can remember when somebody crossed me. Yeah. And I can remember it like I remember like it happened 2 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm. It did. Literally.
Yeah, it did.
You don't seem like a fun person to have as an enemy. Let's just say that. Let's just leave it at that.
Fair. Yeah, that's fair.
All right. So
because I keep receipts and I stick to facts. So,
yeah. Facts. I don't like facts.
Facts.
And what's funny is that
calling names. Let's just get into
facts.
Facts. Let's just.
Scruff Kingsman, you nailed it on the head. Pioneer DJ decks are the industry standards. Yeah, but they suck compared to like what Denon is offering. However, the Pioneer DJ mixer, that thing's legit.
Angela says Aaron has big feelings.
Yes. Big shiny.
I'm about to fight Angela. You're gonna have to. I'm telling you.
That's not a good one. You're talking about bad enemies. That's not a good one.
Throwing hands over a spilled paint or spilled paint. I can't read.
I don't drink, but I would, man. If it was one of my friends and somebody knocked it over, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's go.
Hey, Aaron, you look like somebody who like secretly like trains in jiu-jitsu. You know, I like Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Like you don't tell anybody, and then like I'd be like, hey, let's mess around. Like when let's see what's up. And then you just take me down and like wrap me up. Like what the heck?
Yeah, that's the plan.
I forgot to tell you I'm a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Well, so something I didn't tell you about is I actually used to train in it at one point. So
no way.
Yeah,
I knew it.
Very long time ago. Very long time ago, and I don't. Cool. It wouldn't even apply today. So
it reminds me of what's Al Bundy's real name?
Ed O'Neill.
Oh, Ed O'Neill. Yeah.
That dude's like a black belt, like legit.
I think I saw that. Yeah,
he's legit. Like anyway, you wouldn't expect that you see him like
not as legit as Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh,
dude, Al Bundy was the bomb, dude. Oh, my battery's about to die. I'm gonna lose video feed in a second, but. Since we're on this like talk about
you know
fighting,
this, hold on real quick. Do you know what this is? You think you know capoeira? I think what was that movie? Only the Strong or something like that. Anyway, it's an old movie.
My video froze. Yeah, you better switch batteries, you punk. Listen, I'm gonna talk about you while you're gone.
You think
I'm still here?
Do you think you can still hear us?
Yes, I can still hear you.
He can't even hear us, man. If we can't
Here,
see
I'll
him,
put
then he
me
can't
on.
see us.
This is how I can hear it and see you now.
No, for
Nobody
sure.
can
I'm-
see you.
I'm about
For
to
sure, I
punt
can
you.
whoop Chana. That's all I know.
What's up?
You know what? If I was going to fight Chana, hey, which
for
was
sure,
which
'cause
was
he
the
can't hear
Achilles
us,
that you
right?
tore?
Huh?
Joe can beat me in an arm wrestle match. He already did.
You're such a punk. What was the Achilles that you messed up? Which one?
My left. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going for the. Oh, it was your right one. I see how it is. So I'm going for your right one.
Leg lock.
Yeah, leg lock. I'm not even going to give him a chance. I'm just going to take a brick and throw it at his foot.
All right.
So anyway,
all right. Here's the topic.
Stop
because
being
of a
fanatical
post-
about audio.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Stop
being
it.
fanatical.
Stop it. All right.
Stop it.
Here's a post from a Facebook group. Obviously, it's in the Clips group. I don't know what it is about the Clips group that they're really like, really fanatical about these speakers, right? Yeah, I'm in the SVS group, the Focal group, the Martin Logan group. Am I in the Macintosh group? I think I'm in a bunch of different Facebook groups, and like stuff like this is all right. So this person says, while I can appreciate Klipsch making product lines for all income levels, is anyone else growing weary of folks who said, listen to some at Best Buy, claiming they are junk or bright or fatiguing or lackluster, etc., compared to my B&W, Focals, Martin Logans, etc.? It's like saying I drove a Chevette in the 80s and Chevy cars just aren't for me, and like the rolling eyes. And so like I was just like, I mean, if you flip it, you could see the same thing, right? I was at Best Buy and listened to some B&Ws and Martin Logans and whatever else, and they don't hold a candle to my Klipsch RF73s. Like in these, I think a lot of these people butting heads in Facebook groups really doesn't do anything other than people just want to like Aaron. People just want to fight. They're ready to fight. They're ready to fight about a speaker. Like, oh, my speaker's better than yours.
My speaker is better than yours. What are you talking about?
You know what? I think it's not about. A lot of times, I don't think it's about audio specifically. I think it's you get a bunch of dudes talking about something that's partially subjective, partially objective, and everybody wants to be like the guy who knows the most.
Big dog, right?
Like, I know more. I got the most expensive machine that like measures everything, so I'm the dude.
Come on, me.
Huh?
I don't
You guys are using a cheap old mic. What do you know?
Guys, crap mics, man.
I'm a real engineer.
The ASS
just an engineer.
said it perfectly.
The
Valuable
engineer.
feelings, terrible arguments.
Yeah. So so I'm partially joking, but the truth is really like, I think you can go to any other industry and you'll find the same kind of thing
100%.
happening where people are arguing. And a lot of times it's more like, people don't like their opinions questioned. They don't like, they don't like to be questioned. I think a lot of times, right? Like if you have a strong opinion, I don't want you to.
But this guy's like, oh, I'm so tired of all these people that have more expensive speakers saying, oh, I listened to like the cheaper version at Best Buy, and they're like blah blah blah, and I'm like, okay, well, what does that really bother you?
Right.
Like, oh my god, like Joe said, hey, these Martin Logans don't really measure that well. Okay, cool, they sound cool over here. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, I don't know. Like Chana, he always sends me these watches. I'm like, dude, I don't like that watch. And I'm sure he's getting pissed. Like, I like that watch. What are you talking about?
Look,
a watch I thought looked cool. I've been looking at it, and then you just tell me I don't like it. But so
I'll tell you right now, both of y'all's watches are terrible.
Huh?
Both of y'all's watches are
both
terrible.
of the watch there it is. There
it's garbage. Y'all need to send them to me. I'll sell them for you. I mean, I'll do something with them.
Oh, Joe, I returned that watch, by the way.
You should have. It was hideous.
No, it actually looked great. But Joe said the movement only cost $8. The watch itself cost $400. So he's like, yeah, it's not really. I'm like, oh, well, okay, sure, whatever. And then my wife wanted to buy some full-on like workout outfit that was like $400. So I'm like, okay, I'll return the watch. Man. Wifey can buy the outfit. Easy.
I think also part of it is you want people like it when when they
around one
listen
thing.
to you to buy something.
Is it like tribalism or something?
I don't know about tribal. That maybe that's part of it. But like, let's say you tell somebody, "Hey, I know about speakers, right? You need to buy some speakers. Let me help you." And if they buy some other speakers, like, what are you doing? Like,
I just told you these were the
Didn't I
best
tell you?
Yeah.
speakers.
What'd you
These
ask
were
my
the best
advice for?
speakers.
Didn't
Why
I
did you
just
buy
tell
the
you?
Martin Logans when I told you Clips were the best speaker?
I told
Hey
you.
man,
That's-
just
that's
because
my
I told you
Aaron
that
impression.
doesn't mean you get to talk like me.
That's my Aaron. I got to shave my head though first, really.
So I think it's a
You shave your
attack
butt
on
too.
character a lot of times, right? Look at this guy. Attack. There's a lot of attack on somebody's character is what I kind of feel is
Yeah, I
Did he
100% agree
froze?
with. Yeah, I 100% agree with Joe. Look at that face
froze
that he
at the
froze.
wrong time.
Dude,
He
that
froze at the
face.
perfect time.
Hold up,
We didn't hear
timestamp
that,
this.
bro.
4540. 4540. Tim,
you know what I'm saying?
make
Though,
that
like
the thumbnail GIF thumbnail. 4540, Tim.
Oh, tribalism based on lines in the sand. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, the crazy thing is, like, I don't know, dude. It's
we're just
easy
speaking.
for me.
I think we're speaking generally, right?
yeah, no,
We're
no,
not
I
saying
agree.
anything specific. I'm saying in general, and I think
Yeah,
this applies
100%.
generally.
Yeah,
Not anybody
Right.
specific.
I just think that, if you like something, enjoy it. Right at the end of the day, like regardless of what anybody else says about it, like, and that's the thing about reviews is sometimes people watch reviews to get validation that they bought the right thing.
Right. This
And
is
then
what
when they
Juan
don't
is
get
saying,
that, that's what they get upset about, and it's like, well, okay, then just it shouldn't make you enjoy your speak. Like if you learn something about it, maybe something was already there and you're like, yeah, okay, it's not just me. Yeah, maybe this isn't the speaker for me. That's cool. That's a good thing, that can come out of it, but don't get bent out of shape about it.
Juan says those people are only looking for reassurance that their decision is the correct one.
Yeah.
Like for example, so I'll tell
Even
you
when
an
it
example
usually isn't.
of I'm guilty of it too, right? I don't think any of us are impervious to.
Oh
this,
no, I'm above the
feeling.
fray. Whatever you're talking about, I'm better than that. So yeah, go ahead and talk about the other people. You're not talking about me.
So here's an example, right? You did that test where you're, A, B, and C, right?
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, dude, B sounds way different. Like I can't
Definitely.
even focus on the spatial differences. It
Yeah.
sounds so different to me, all right?
Right.
And so I'm like, I think it's this type of speaker, right? I'm like, if you're saying that they're all EQ'd the same, it has to be this type of speaker because my understanding of how speakers work, it's got to be like a horn, like narrow directivity, narrow pattern. And then you made a video and you kind of announced what's what. It's the exact opposite. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
wait, hold up a second.
Right.
Something's wrong here. Either my understanding of how this works is completely messed up,
Or I lied.
or I don't want to say that your thing is your the way you did it, because then it becomes tricky, right? Because now it's either, you see what I'm saying, like now either I'm wrong or
I'm wrong. Somebody's wrong.
right? Somebody has to be
welcome.
wrong, or something has to be done differently. So
Nobody has
I'm
to be
messaging
wrong
you
because
dude,
FOMO
was
is
it
here.
off axis?
Right.
How was the EQ? I'm
Did you
like,
use the
looking at-
moving mic method or is just a standard single?
Did you measure?
Yeah,
it?
no, actually, I just measured it outside. From outside, I should say. The speaker was in the house, but I measured it from outside.
But it's okay. You got a skylight, so the audio travels.
Yeah, no, I cut one that afternoon actually with the jigsaw. Matter of fact, I still need to go patch it up before it starts raining.
What's up, FOMO? But you get
FOMO's
what I'm
in the
saying,
house.
though.
Yeah,
right?
no,
Like,
I
even
get what
that
you're saying.
Specific instance, like we're friends, but I
Yeah.
was like, even like, dude, I don't know what is going on here because this doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know what.
But see, me on the flip side, like having heard them in my room and having heard the recording back, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much what I heard in terms of soundstage. And people who are like, oh man, the B one sounds the best for these reasons. I'm like, are y'all high right now? Like, what are y'all hearing? So I find that a very interesting, like, human experiment, like, and I wonder how much of that too has to do with training. Now, some of these people certainly were, I thought he spelled wrong. Anyway, I was like, did he spell usually Wong? I was like, thanks, buddy. Yeah, no, that's it. That's for me. I got nothing else than that.
I don't know. I thought it was just
it was a fun
trip, though,
experiment
because to me, it's almost like, it's one of these things where I don't want to be wrong, right? About, or if I'm gonna be wrong, well, I want to understand why I'm wrong. Like it didn't make sense to me.
Mhm.
So
Dude, there's nothing with being wrong. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. Like, dude, like that video I just made this weekend about distortion. I'd posted up a clip on Friday night, an audio clip, and I said this is Doppler distortion. And then Lars Riesbo from Purify was like, basically, no, this is amplitude modulation. It's not Doppler, right? So I'm like, well, okay, that sounds like everything that's been described to me as Doppler. That's exactly what that sounds like. But then they have a thing on their website where you can actually go in and hear the difference between what those two components sound like. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's totally like amplitude. It's a different type of distortion. So I said it in my video, you know, because I think like as long as you're open and candid about stuff, man, people will they'll respect you more. And then some people will be like, oh, well, he said he didn't know blah blah blah, so I can't trust him. But it's like nobody knows everything.
Look what Bob did. Bob threw away all my clips in the garbage because Aaron's graphs hurt my feelings.
Dude, I bet they hurt my ears more than they hurt your
feelings. Honestly, those recent ones haven't been too horrible though, right?
They're not that bad. The 500 M2 is actually, I like it. The 600 M2, Ron at New Record Day did a review on that, and I kind of was curious what he was going to say. He didn't like them, but I don't know if he listened to them off axis, because I did mention to him, I was like, to me, they're better when you tow them off axis.
Just like your binaural recording.
Yeah, exactly. Just like your face. So,
oh man,
Sammy does. Thank you for the super chat. He says he's shopping for one subwoofer for 2-channel music to match his KEF Rs.
One subwoofer for 2-channel music to match his KEF Rs. All right.
What's your budget? No. Let's not do one subwoofer. What's your budget? Let's do that.
I would say, what's the size of the room, and like how much bass do you want? Like, do you want earth-shattering, butthole quivering bass, or do you just want something solid?
That's what Joe likes.
Oh yeah.
Which KEF Rs too?
Bass. That's
which KEF Rs.
Hey, save that one. You got to save
R3.
That one. Use that in the review, please.
Tim,
next time.
Tim's you need to title it butt quivering bass, and then we're just gonna talk about this butt quivering bass. Make it
that'll 25 by 22. That's
meters,
large, dude.
No,
okay. So I'm wants
imagining an 8-foot ceiling. 8-foot ceiling.
Yeah, you already know what we're gonna say, right? Like it doesn't. Two subs is always better.
No, the big subwoofer, because Megatron Arms Cannon. If you're in here, dude, tell them about how awesome those bigs are. I know, yeah.
KEF R3.
2 is always better, I would say.
R3, okay.
Oh yeah, those things have no bass, dude. 100%.
Yeah, 2 decent subs are gonna be better than one.
For sure.
Really, really good sub.
I would say, you could go with like a nice sealed 12-inch.
Yeah.
SVS, pretty cheap.
I was gonna say SVS or Monoprice would probably be.
Yeah.
What's the budget? Is there a budget here?
Right. I don't know.
A budget. I would say like if you really wanted to get crazy, you can get some Rels, and you're not running
crazy.
DSP.
Like in what way are you getting crazy?
Get spend more money. Actually, you can get a 10-inch Rel for $500. So that's almost the same price as the SVS SB 1000, right? What are those, $500 or $600 now?
Well, if he has some KEF R3s, right? I kind of assume like people who buy KEF are into measurements. I don't know why. I just feel like
go with the SVS.
Yeah, something that maybe measures a certain way. And also, what do you have it connected to, right? Do you have something that can
EQ, all that kind of stuff?
Yes.
DSP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I think SVS is always a safe bet.
Yeah.
I feel that way about Monoprice and SVS. Generally speaking, I would just say get whichever one you like. SVS look better, that's for sure.
I think they have a sale,
and they don't weigh like 1,000 pounds.
Yeah,
but the Monoprice are usually about $100 or so cheaper, aren't they? Just because you're not paying for the DSP that's built into them. So if you don't need that, then you can save a little bit of money and go that route. But if you don't have DSP already, then I think SVS is probably a safe bet too.
Outlets, SVS outlet, speaker outlet, view all subwoofer outlets. Because they had a big sale on the older subwoofers, though, like the 1000, not the 1000 Pro. So I have the PB 1000 Pro in this room, which is small. This is a small room, 1100 cubic feet.
PB 1000, right?
PB, yeah, the ported.
PB, yeah, I have that. That thing bumps, dude.
Dude, this thing's insane in this room. Yeah,
that thing bumps.
In a 4400 cubic foot room, maybe not as much. Two of those probably be good, depending on what kind of music you're listening to. I would say.
THX 13 all day and night, all night, all day, all night.
All
Okay.
day.
All right, I see how
All
you roll.
night.
Home theater Joe. That's a big boy right there. You still have that one, Aaron? The THX 13?
Yes.
Oh god.
Hobie.
Okay,
Hobie, if you're watching
NADC.
this, send somebody to pick this stuff up, dude. I don't. Maybe he was on vacation last week, but I've been asking for like 2 weeks, and their marketing person was out on vacation the week before last, so I get it. But I sent him another reminder I think it was on Friday. I was like, hey, just a reminder. I've got 11 or 10 speakers and that big huge subwoofer, and they're taking up so much room. I sent him a joke like 2 emails ago, and I said, if you don't come and get these things, I'm giving them away. Like, basically. So
People who buy Kev have hot partners, so the woofer has to look hot to match. Yeah, I think if you buy Kev, you also like nice looking stuff. So
here's what he's got it connected to. This
okay.
NAD 658. Let's check out the caboose here.
noise.
NAD.
Yeah, we got 2 subwoofer outputs. So yeah, that's
What kind of room correction does it have?
Let's see. It's $2,000. It should have something. Does it have Dirac? That'd be interesting. It's got Blue OS.
Dirac. Yeah. So
Oh, you good, man.
yeah, good. Just get a SVS monolith.
Yeah.
I think you're set with those. I mean, if you want to kind of go outside of that, I think a lot of people like the Shu HSU subs, the PSA subs. I've heard a lot of good things about. I haven't tried them myself, but and the DIY route too. You know, go on Parts Express, maybe get some of those like what do they have? Ultimax. If you like to build
Dude,
stuff.
I would love to do some DIY, but I was just like, I don't have time for that nonsense.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, the new SVS 1000 Pros, not too expensive, so you could get 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Do you still have that SB 3000, Joe?
Yeah.
That thing would probably be good in his space.
Oh, yeah.
More wattage. Because it is like 4,400 cubic feet. So
Yeah. I mean, his space is big though.
yeah, it's big.
Big. I think I would rather with 2 very capable subs.
Yes,
Is really ideal, right?
Yeah.
2 capable subs.
Oh, he says that he thinks he likes the ARX Rel series. Yeah, well, I don't even know what series that is.
I just go
although Rel did come out with some new home theater subwoofers, which they're going to send over to me at some point. But I think Shane has a video about it. So if Shane has a video about it, then I think the NDA has been lifted.
Yeah, I don't think the Rel I would recommend to somebody who really doesn't have any DSP at all.
Yeah.
You know, because you're gonna add DSP to that thing anyway. All the stuff that they market where it's like, oh, it's fast, you know, this and that. I think they're referring to the fact that it doesn't have DSP. But if you're gonna add DSP anyway, who cares? Now you're gonna have to work to get it to extend the bass down, right? Because that's usually the issue with the Rels is that it doesn't play deep enough. Whereas if you buy an SVS, they might have the same, similar size enclosure, but they've used the DSP already to extend the bass down. You would have to do that manually. So you have to have a little bit of experience to know what your limits are, and it doesn't have a built-in limiter, I wouldn't imagine. So anyway,
so Boxcar P has a question that's kind of related to this. Where is he? I just bought a SB 1000 Pro, have it connected to a Macintosh Max 6700, and I have to have the gain turned up to -8.
Okay.
To hear anything. Is this normal? This is what he's talking about. This is what you got, bro. Damn. We got some.
I'll take it.
All right.
Send it my way.
All right. So
Aaron needs to measure the
amp. Yeah. I need to measure something on it, and you might not get it back.
It's the cost.
What's wrong with that? Is that an issue?
I don't know. Is this the main volume?
Is
this the volume of the subwoofer? Because I remember like SVS always saying like put the subwoofer at -10.
That's by default. Doesn't it come at -10?
I think so.
It's -10 by default. So
I wonder if that has something to do with just to keep, people from blowing it up right away. You know what I'm saying? Like they'd have to go to it and turn it up. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of like a protection thing.
Well, they already have a lot of protection on there. I think
oh, okay.
I think they'd make it pretty difficult to blow up. Like I've almost tried, let's just say. I'll play something extremely loud. It's to the point of distortion, and I'm trying to see, all right, what's going to happen with this thing? And usually it just starts lowering the volume, right? Starts limiting it.
Here's something nice from ASS, the audio system
Mhm.
specialist. Sidebar, I really appreciate all of you guys. Every one of you in this hobby help. You all have a positive impact on the growth of the entire industry. Represent that value with respect. Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
man. Thank you, King.
Thank you,
Sure.
Leon says,
Hey,
I think you
SS
guys are in a privileged or not position because you guys get to listen to so many amazing speakers. You must get a bit warped to normal speakers. I mean, going back to that whole discussion we had with the Klipsch stuff and like that person being fanatical, like, do you guys remember like a year ago, 2 years ago? I said on one of the live streams, I think I want to move away from Klipsch so I can hear speakers that have different materials for their mids and highs instead of the, because I've always been listening to that, compression horn driver, right? And I was just like, oh man, these Martin Logans are great. The mids and highs, especially on acoustic instruments and like female vocals, sounds so natural. So it's in that aspect, like Leon, it's actually pretty cool that like we get all these speakers. At the same time, it's a pain in the ass because we get all these. I pay $400 a month on a storage unit for speakers and boxes that are literally just sitting there, and it's TVs. I have 3 empty TV boxes. Sony sent a TV, an OLED, and I don't want to send it back, but they sent me the wrong size. They sent me the 65-inch instead of the 55-inch. I can't even take the box to storage. It's just sitting on our stairwell.
Like, so basically, Hobie should send the sub to you, right? Next,
yes,
the THX 13, send it to you.
No,
you okay.
Oh, Boxcar says he had the 3000 micro and didn't have to turn it up that high.
Yeah, it depends. It depends. I wouldn't worry too much about that. But as far as being spoiled, not so much. My neighbor wanted a home theater system, and I checked out his house, and I'm like, I don't think you're gonna want speakers. Like, honestly, I think you want a Sonos, right? You want a Sonos soundbar, and you just want some wireless surround speakers. And Sonos is decent enough. The way they tune it is decent enough. And I actually just told them to get those IKEA Symphonist speakers. Right?
Oh yeah.
Because they work with Sonos and they're like $100.
Yeah.
And dude, I'm just a nerd when it comes to audio stuff. So I'm going to hack into the Symphonist speaker because the Sonos sub is super expensive.
Right.
Like ridiculously expensive.
$700. It's the price of an SVS. Like, why would you buy, like, I don't know.
I told them,
can you use a standard subwoofer?
They don't really allow that. I mean, there are ways. And so one of the hacks is you just tap into you use those as surrounds, and then you tap into them and use either a high level to RCA converter and then plug in a sub. Right? It's kind of not the best way to do it, but if you want some bass, and I think most people would be happy with that if you're coming from a soundbar, right? It's not a true 0.1 channel, but if they get some bass, I think they'll be. And
happy. Then I mean, with soundbars, I think a lot of consumers get confused with soundbars because it says like 9.2.6, and we all know. I mean, we would know that. Okay, a 15-channel Atmos setup. How many AV receivers? And this thing is like under $1,000. I'm like, how is this possible? You actually have 16 channels of Atmos decoding in this thing, and you have 15 speakers. Like I think it's sound.
I don't know that the decoding is the hard part, right?
No, I just don't think
imagine that
it's not decoding any. No, I think it's not decoding that. I think that's just literally the number of drivers in the soundbar. There's 9.
You don't think they're decoding that many channels?
I don't think they're decoding 15 channels of Atmos.
That would be kind of messed up.
Why not, man?
For under $1,000? I mean, it'd be cool, but I don't think they are.
Just hook up 2 cheap ones together and run their outputs into another one, and just Y splitters, dude. Get Y splitters. You split the entire left side and split the entire right side.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, actually, I can tell you that they do, because I've hooked them up via HDMI. And then in REW, you can select each channel.
Yeah.
And each one works. But
it's just one driver though, right?
Like if it says surround, like it'll play the surround, it'll do that. So it's decoding it. It's not. Yeah. He doesn't, but he's like, I don't
know, man. I don't know. Just the facts, man. Ask, most people listen through AirPods. Should one be mixing with them? What are you mixing, like creating music? Are you mixing like DJing music? What does mixing mean? He also asked, anyone like the Marshall earbuds? I
I
like
don't
my
know. I don't
Marshall
think you should be
tube
mixing with them.
amplifier combo.
I don't think. I think you should get some inexpensive studio monitors. Would be a good idea.
Mhm.
You know, there's a lot that I think we can all agree are pretty good and not too expensive, like the Cali Audio
Cali
ones.
Audio.
JBL are very popular. You know, I like the
Yeah.
Calis myself.
Yeah, I've tested and listened to JBL and Cali, and I'll personally go with the Cali. The JBL ones, they have a bunch of resonance on the front baffle, which if you Google, you'll find a lot of people who've had that exact same issue and have come up with some DIY fixes. But I
Wait,
would personally just go with the Cali. The 308 and the 305s, I think,
Oh.
are the models. Maybe the 306 as well, but those, because they got those, and I don't want to say cheap plastic, but it is kind of cheap plastic front little baffle on the front.
Mm.
And so what they've done is they've taken them apart and they've added some kind of like sound deadening type material on it and all sorts of other things to try to lower the resonant frequency down a little bit so they don't bark at you. But yeah.
Mhm.
Have you reviewed these? I know you kind of went on this binge where you just started reviewing a bunch of monitors.
PreSonus.
PreSonus.
Yeah, was it the Aris 3.5? I think is what they make, right? Let me look here.
Well, I remember that. I don't think you were impressed with
Garbage.
very many of those.
Garbage. Yeah, I think that was when I reviewed the little Mackie 3.5 inch at the same time. Garbage. And it frustrates me that they would call those mastering type speakers when it's a huge V curve. I mean,
That's
it's
a problem. That's a problem because what you want is accuracy, right?
Like if you mixed on that, I would think that you would think you don't need a lot of bass. You know, like because China's going to say, I know what I'm listening to, and I agree. But most likely the people who are mixing on these $99 speakers don't have a clue what they're listening to. And so they expect they're getting like studio quality. And it's like these things are super boosted, like resonant bass. The highs are literally like plus 5 or 10 dB. Yeah. I mean, it's like terrible, man.
I mean, if you were to mix on them and then go put that song into a car, you'd be like, where's the bass and why is the high so shrilly?
It just
be like,
mid-range.
okay, something's and that means you go back in and you just start, okay, like over in the car, it was like, you know, real weird. So let's bring down the highs and then jack up the bass, print it out, go back to the car. Okay, that's starting to get better. And then so this is where like, you know, if you're mixing like to make, you know, in the music production part of the whole thing, like you have to have other speakers to listen to them on and different systems that are varying in price so that you can kind of hear like, okay, what are my studio monitors actually giving to me? And then once you've got those figured out, like these KRKs aren't the greatest that I've been using for like 10 years, but I already know what I need to do to make it translate onto multiple systems. Right. So, well, you know, and you look at the Cali Audio reviews for like the N5, N8, and like all the like studio guys on YouTube that I've watched, you know, for other, you know, purposes like mixing purposes and stuff like that. Like they are always saying the budget studio monitor buy is Cali Audio.
There it is.
So,
right. And it's because of this. Like,
I mean, they measure flat. They measure flat. They're not expensive.
Flat. And so they're accurate. And if you don't know what the playback system is, right? And who knows what it is? It could be a Bluetooth speaker, it could be some headphones, it could be a car, who knows, right? And you don't know the frequency response of those systems. So you don't, basically, if you come out with a mix based on an accurate speakers, it could not sound perfect on their system. But the problem is their system. It's not the problem with your recording, right?
Right.
And when I talked to Charles Sprinkle, who's the designer over there, or the engineer at Cali Audio, he said, honestly, I'm very concerned that the speakers that I make are going to affect the music that comes out. He's like, I don't want to be responsible for music sounding wrong because I designed my speaker wrong. So he takes it very seriously. So if you're serious, you know, not too expensive.
Yeah. Yep. 100% agree, man.
Real quick, I just wanted to share this. I did this poll, right? So you thought we are going to get by without talking about Oro or anything like that.
Oh,
so this is going to be very quick. I just said, what percentage of content that you watch on a regular basis would you say has an impressive Atmos mix, including
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that includes everything, right? So music, movies, streaming content, YouTube. And I'm not saying what has Atmos. I'm saying what is impressive. Like, oh man, that sounds very realistic. And so look at this. From 1 to 20%, meaning these people are not impressed at all. 63%, 21 to 40%. It's kind of confusing, but 21% of people said that it's between 21 and 40% of the content. 8% of the people said it's between 41 and 60% of the content they consume. And then 4% between 61 and 80. And then only 4% believe that 81 to 100% of the content that they consume on a regular basis has impressive Atmos. In which case, I would say, I don't know why you'd want to spend all this money. And right, if this is the case, you know, I don't know that I'd want to spend the money if I knew this going into it.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. And yes, this does go back to my whole thing about Oro, right? So this is 477 votes. That's, you know, pretty decent sample size. And I would say this is kind of the reason, like most of the stuff I would say for me is between 1 and 20%. Yeah. It has great Atmos mixes. So why wouldn't I use that to utilize all of my speakers, right? Yep. And 63% of the people who voted agree with that. And so I think if you're in this category, you may want to look at an AVR that does have Oro if you want to utilize height speakers and, you know,
that you know,
not, or even just 7.1 is fine.
Look, but at the same time, like I like this I like this Pioneer. I'm writing my script for the review, which I was gonna shoot today, but I had to deal with all this car insurance thing. Anyway, it's here, and for this room here, and my purposes in this room of playing video games and using it for Atmos in video games, it's awesome.
Yeah,
awesome. DTSX, awesome. Direct Live is great. IMAX enhanced, DTSX, Dolby Atmos, anything of those that have that, it's fantastic. Soon as we get to content that's 5.1 or less, I don't know which like audio thing to choose because it doesn't have Oro 3D. That sounds natural and also sounds good. Like they have a stereo, they have an extended stereo, which uses all the speakers, but like, and then enhances the bass, but it all depends. So, you know, like my wife watches a lot of TV shows, you know, on Hulu and stuff like that. It's not Atmos, not DTSX, not IMAX enhanced. So like, it's pretty tough. And this is a $1,500 receiver. So I'm using it, you know, for my purposes here in a room, which I barely use the thing unless I'm playing video games. I was for like, you know, 30 minutes before the show. But like if somebody has this in their living room and they're spending $1,500 on this and then everything else, like you want it to sound good. And I still haven't found like a good audio thing to watch regular content.
So that makes sense. I think gaming does make a lot of sense. I think it probably sounds awesome according to what you're saying.
Fantastic.
So here, who's this? Somebody just said no. Where are you?
No.
1 to 20%.
I've Atmos works 100%.
So, home theater Joe says at Joe. No, brother. That's it. Just no. No what? No what? This is just a poll, right? So this is out of 477 people. This is how many people were impressed, right? You know, not very many. So anyway, I don't know what the no is about, but that's how you get into those things.
5.1 DTS HD is one of the best formats in my opinion.
Yeah. Hey, dude, you're entitled to your opinion, but it's still wrong.
Randall, is Ambulance a good movie? I mean, the movie, it's a pretty cool concept, but more or less the action was great and the
and Jake Gyllenhaal was easy on the eyes.
That's according to Aaron. Is he like
you don't think he's easy on the eyes?
So who's Jake the bear? You or the bear? Is it?
Hold on, I'm trying to remember who was the other one in the movie with him. Oh, I don't know the guy's name.
I don't know. It's a new actor.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right here. But anyway, it's more about the Yahaya. I am not even going to try to pronounce that name. This one.
Was
you look that up? But I
going
really
to.
like the cinematography because they use this FYP FPV drone, first person view drone, to like fly all around. Joe, you got to watch the movie, man. It's
I
so
know,
dope.
you keep telling me for all right.
You gotta watch it, man. You're gonna be like, oh, dude, this is like it's like
I don't know,
stepping
man.
up the game. Like
I don't
even
know, man. You let me borrow some Blu-rays, and one of them was that Jupiter Rising. So
yeah, it's a shitty movie, but like the Atmos is great.
all right,
The Atmos is great.
this
It's a shitty movie,
or
and
is
I
it just
told
good
you that.
Atmos?
I already warned you, bro.
All right.
It was just an Atmos thing. Like, how many more shitty movies can we come out with, or can those studios come out with that have great Atmos? Can we do more of those, please? Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
That dude, the other guy, he was Morpheus. He was young Morpheus in the new Matrix. That's how I recognize him.
Oh, is
Yeah.
that who he was? Okay.
And apparently he was Candyman, which I haven't seen the new one. But I'm like, did y'all ever see the original? The original Candyman movie?
Old one?
Mm-mm.
From like, what was that, like the early 90s, maybe? I have to Google this. and try
Like
to-
a long time ago, dude. I don't really remember like all that.
Gosh.
The only
19
like crazy
1992.
horror-ish movie that I saw in the theaters was Event Horizon, and man, I cannot forget that thing. But like Candyman, I can forget that.
Dude, that movie freaked me out. I want to see that. It freaked me out so much that I want to see the new one.
Ambulance is super dumb but really fun. All right, is that about right?
Yeah.
I
it's
can
like,
get
oh,
with
this-
a super fun but really dumb movie. I can get with that.
I mean, the movie's not bad. It's not like Jupiter Rising, but like, you know, the music is good. The cinematography is fantastic. So like, it's just, it's like they're slowly starting to step things up. Like even Halo, right? Paramount Plus did that Halo series on the video game where they just kind of made up everything. Like there was this one shot, they were like way up there, and then they just bring the drone down and right into the actor's face. I'm like, yeah, that was an awesome drone shot. Like my
I
dumb
agree.
ass is like, how did they shoot this?
You should post a poll and ask that same question with Atmos content released over the past 6 months. I wonder if that percentage would be higher because some movie and streaming studios are getting better.
Definitely.
Maybe we can do another poll soon.
There is this one guy that I watch for like music production tips and stuff like that, and his newest video out today was like mixing in Atmos is insane. So he went to an actual Atmos mixing studio, and he was totally blown away about all the things you can do. So if we're thinking about Atmos came out in 2016, it is 2020. It has been
2022.
Sorry, it's 2022. I looked at the thing. I can't read. What is it? It's been 6 years. And only now are studios starting to become built for Atmos. I mean, there were some, but now we're getting more and more people getting into Atmos mixing. So I think maybe another 3 to 5 years until like we get to a level where all the movies coming out in Atmos are actually going to be good. Atmos wise, not the movie. The movie could be, like a poop stick, like Jupiter Rising.
Oh,
how
Event
long
Horizon was scary as shit.
How long did it take for them to utilize 5.1? Like really
Like
make
fully
use of
to
it
its
and
maximum?
be a
I don't
good
know.
movie?
I don't know.
That long, right? I don't think it was that long.
What was this? George Lucas? Or I mean, that was THX. That wasn't 5.1.
It didn't take too long.
all right.
Yeah.
I got to address this. Taylor Swift has a dramatic 10-minute song about why you shouldn't think Jake Gyllenhaal is good on the eyes. Yeah. Well, she also says the same stuff about John Mayer. You can't believe that girl. She lies. All right. I'm done.
I don't know
Why
about her.
John Mayer? What's up?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You-
She
you
wrote some
think
stuff
he's
about John
good-looking
Mayer
too?
too.
Oh, he's easy on the eyes for Aaron.
He's easy on the eyes, man.
He's a watch
Aaron,
guy, by
Aaron.
the way. So
He's a watch. Oh, is he?
yeah, he's like hardcore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did y'all ever see that skit with him on the Dave Chappelle show? Like long when the
Yes.
Dave Chappelle show was still on.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
great, dude. I
The
love
handshake.
that.
The handshake.
Well, I don't remember.
No,
the
it
one
was
I'm
they were
thinking of,
going
the
to
different music.
no.
barber
Look.
shops and doing
Yeah.
different music.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
That was great. That was great.
I was thinking of the one where he meets Kanye. Have you seen that one?
I probably have. I just don't
Is it-
remember that one.
Yeah. Anyway, you should watch that.
All right.
Yeah. What else we got going on? I think that's pretty much. Any other questions here that you guys want to address?
I do not. Oh, I do have some of those Wharfdale Linton speakers. You guys know about those?
yeah.
Who sent
cool.
those to you?
A guy. No,
Oh, a
no,
guy,
just
okay.
no. He.
was
So
gonna
I guess like somebody who watches my videos or whatever. He reached out and
That's
asked if
awesome,
I would be interested in reviewing them because he was going to order them, and so he had them shipped from the place I cannot name because they would never return my emails. Jerks. Anyway, yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about.
Jerkfield.
Jerk.
They didn't even
Jerk
send
field.
him It was a guy.
Yeah, it was the guy. So he had them shipped to me. So I listened to them a couple nights ago, man, and I was like, oh, these are pretty nice. So
No way.
I was actually a little bit impressed. Yeah, but when you look at the measurements, you're like, what? But then when you look at the estimated in-room response, and then I actually measured them in the room, it all just kind of works out. I was like, okay.
Okay.
All right. So that one kind of caught me by surprise. Yeah, I honestly thought it was going to be like just super hot and not sound good at all.
You know,
and I was like, okay.
You know, one of my favorite pair of speakers for a long time, small bookshelf speakers, not tiny, but pretty small, were the Wharfdale Denton 85th anniversary.
Oh yeah,
which are just smaller versions of the Linton.
Yeah. Okay.
Very similar, you know, that offset tweeter.
Yeah, right.
And actually, I've heard those Lintons at when I was at Expona.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You made a video about them, dude.
Did he give you the stands that have the
the record holder?
No, he was going to wait and order those if he decided he wanted to keep them. He was like, I want to see, like, make sure they make sense for me. You know, he's like, I'm still going to listen to them, but I want you to measure them first. So anyway,
they got the 8-inch with the inverted surround, right?
I don't know. Actually, I haven't even looked at it that close, to be honest. But I got them in, I set them up, and I mean, I put them on stands, but not the ones that they come with. So,
well,
but yeah, man, I was surprised.
I think they look
kind of just a throwback, you know, like it made me think of the Klipsch Heresy, but they sound 10 times better than the Klipsch, like so much better. Dude, it's not even in the same league.
Come on, man, you got to use the tube amp, bro.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's my bad. I forgot. I'll have to do that.
So okay, real quick. So what is it in the measurement that looked bad, and why did it not sound so bad?
So I can just tell you in the measurements, the directivity, there's issues in the crossover, but the in-room response is pretty good. I mean, I would show it to you guys here, but I can't pull it up right now. But the in-room response only has a dip around 2K, and I wonder if that's like a BBC dip, like put in on purpose. I don't think that it is, but I am curious. So I was actually going to email Wharfdale and ask them, like, hey, is there an engineer who can answer a couple questions for me? We'll see. But yeah, they just sound, so when I first listened to them, it's just, they're very, I won't say super neutral, but they're pretty darn neutral. The tilt isn't really steep. So I would say, I'm just trying to recall off memory. I want to say maybe it's like 3 dB over the entire, like from like 100 Hertz to 20 kilohertz. It may not be that much either, but it doesn't have the typical like Revel tilt, you know?
Okay.
But they don't sound bright. They work out to where they sound pretty good. And the only thing that I put down in my notes was I thought, like I said, the upper mid range sounds a little bit dull. And sure enough, man, when you look at the results, you can actually see like a little dip right around 2K. And I'm like, well, there it is. But there was something else I heard.
Did you feel like you had to play around?
Dude, they were right. Like, I put them right on axis thinking like I'm going to get blown away. I'm going to have to tow them out. And I was like, wow, this is really nice. And then I played around, towed them out, but I actually liked them better directly on axis. I was surprised, man. I think it's going to be one that's going to catch people that watch my videos off guard, because they're probably like you guys are thinking it's probably not going to sound good. And I was like, well, dang, it's pretty nice. But the measurements, one set of measurements conflicts with the other set of measurements, you know, like, so what matters though is the estimated in room, right? And the estimated in room response looks pretty darn good compared to, anyway, you'll see.
It's interesting because the data will kind of tell you maybe what might be more important. Like what is more important? Like what, when you're actually listening,
right?
Yeah. The measurements say both of these things, right?
Right.
But as far as your experience, you know, okay, yeah, look at all the measurements, but pay more attention to this one.
Yeah, maybe. That's what I've always said is the estimated in-room response to me is probably the more important one to have.
Yeah, for like a shot, I think last time.
Yeah. For a consumer, that's the one that you probably want to pay more attention to. If you're a designer, then you probably want to pay more attention to the CEA curves, in my opinion, at least.
But no, I think that's really cool because I like them back when nobody was doing Klippel measurements, right? So yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know,
like redemption.
I thought they sounded pretty good.
Yeah, I was like, really? Like, all right, I can dig it. And the bass was nice. It wasn't like bloated or muddy or anything. It was just nice. And I was like, okay. And then I think anechoic, I'm ballparking here. Again, this is all off of total memory, but I think it probably went down to 50 Hertz or so. And then it was just a nice, you know, gradual roll off. No strong resonances that I saw in the data. The only thing that I heard was a couple tracks. There was this sound that kind of popped out, and I can't figure out what it was. And I put maybe like 800 to 1K, but I'm gonna have to look in the data and see if I can find any. I don't know, man. It could have just been me making stuff up in my head. So we'll see.
I'm happy to hear that because it kind of just aligns with what I thought. Unlike your binaural demo, where it just
that one,
my whole brain.
Yeah, well, and that one, like I said, I think in the video I could probably do a little bit better next time. Try to do a little bit, but it's fun. Like it gets people involved and thinking.
I have a recommendation, right? So I know you like to do, blind for a reason, right? So you don't want to be, what do you call it?
Biased, I guess.
Yeah, biased because of the way it looks or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And of course, but I think maybe when you reveal it, I would like to see how it looks. Does that make sense? Like to kind of get a better idea, like if I could see a visual of how far they are, because I'm hearing binaural, right? But
you mean like a picture, like
the room, like I want to see. Oh, okay,
gotcha.
That's how much. It doesn't look very reflective. He has panels up. I can see that there's a rug. Things like that, and I can see that they're about this far away. This is how far apart they are. That it helps me understand what I'm hearing. Also,
I got
the reveal. I know.
Yeah, I can try to do that. I mean, the reason I didn't do it was because I've got that video about my room tour, and I was like, that's probably good enough. But
but I was wondering, like, where did he put them? Like, I've seen your room. I didn't know where they were.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, they're on stands in front of the screen.
Yeah, and remember, I asked you privately. I'm like, were they towed in? Were they towed out? Like, how did
they were
it
all
look?
Angled the same way. Yeah. If I do that again, then I'll try to think of that. I don't know when I'll get around to doing something like that again. I'll have to have something that gives me a reason to, I guess.
Well, you know what? Thank you guys for listening to us talk.
Yeah.
To each other.
So a couple other things.
China's just a third wheel.
Clear and Present Danger and Jurassic Park were some of the first movies with Dolby Digital 5.1 AC3. Just so you guys know. Edward says, buy the Wharfdale Lintons at Jerkfield and get a free stand.
Sure. Yeah.
And then Sammy Debs. So we're back to the subwoofer. How about the Martin Logan Dynamo 800X? No, 100%. I had the Dynamo 1600, and for the price, you can find a better subwoofer out there than Martin Logan. 100%.
Yeah. The only reason being, I've measured some of those in a room, and I told the guy to get some SVS, some inexpensive, not the highest end ones, and they blew those away.
Yeah. That's just the thing. I mean, and that thing's $900, dude. You can get 2 SVS for that price. so pretty much. So yeah. Joe says he just pre-ordered Live Die Repeat. They're putting that out on 4K. That's got to be nice. And I think that was it from like most of the comments. I was going through the comments while you guys were yakking. You guys were acting.
Anything you guys want to plug? Anything?
Oh. Here. Where's this guy? Boxcar C. It's got Boxcar P had a question about speakers that have a wide soundstage and smooth but detailed highs with no edginess. What do you guys think?
How wide, man? That's the problem.
I don't understand. Obviously, I don't understand how that works. So, directivity, all that, I don't.
Right. Honestly, the one that kind of comes to mind, and it may just because I mentioned it to Joe the other day, the ELAC UB, I think is it the 62? Is that what their model numbers are? UB 62
are you talking about
maybe, or UBR?
Unify?
Yeah, it came out last summer, I think.
Unify reference bookshelf?
Yeah, that one. That one actually,
62?
That one surprised me because it's coaxial. Usually coaxials don't have very wide soundstage, but these had a pretty decently wide soundstage. And the on-axis response was sloped down, so in the room it didn't sound bright. So you still had a wide soundstage, relatively wide, without it sounding bright. But the reason I ask like how wide, because like some people consider, let's say those Klipsch 600 M's are about plus or minus 50 to plus or minus 60.
Really?
In radiation.
Yeah.
And
but to me, would you say 30? Or like, in your graph, right?
Yeah.
Because
no. Plus or minus, like, so either way, it's 60, 50 or 60.
Okay. So together, so 30.
Yeah. So, together it would be like 120, 100 to 120 on the front half. Yeah. So to me, like I don't consider that super wide, but that's getting on the wider side of sound radiation. But then like those Rendell speakers, those were like 30 to 40 degrees, and those were a waveguided speaker. And then the BMRs were like plus or minus 80 degrees, so it's 160 degrees on the front baffle. So that's why I'm saying it depends. KEF are usually around 50, plus or minus 50 degrees. So to me, KEF are on probably the narrower side of soundstage width. Yeah, yeah.
So you don't get that same effect that you're getting with the ELACs with those?
No, because the KEF are actually more flat on axis, and those R3s that I tested over a year ago, those are a little bit bright. But with the reference 1 metas, I think those are about the same width. But they didn't sound bright at all. They sounded very, very neutral. So that's why it really just depends, like what do you consider wide in soundstage? And I would say like the wider you get, the more likely it is that you're going to have high frequency that hurts your ears. Just by the nature of, if you have a wide soundstage, you got to think like if you have a flat on axis response, and then the soundstage or the sound radiation is very, very wide, that means that the high frequencies are reflecting off a lot of different points in the room. So everything that comes back to you is going to be like amplified, I guess, short for a lack of words there. So you're getting a lot more high frequency content from the reflections. Whereas if you have like a very narrow radiation pattern and it's flat on axis, well, you don't have quite as much bouncing off the walls and coming back at you. So the high frequencies won't sound as bright as it would if it were super wide. And that's just generally speaking, right? So
I had to solo you there because this is what I wanted to know.
Okay.
And so would you say for something that's a wide pattern like that, would you have to turn it up more or less or equal? Does it matter? Like, you know what I'm saying? Let's say sensitivity, all of that is exactly the same.
When you say turn it, you're talking volume?
Volume, yeah.
So assuming that it's linear, it shouldn't matter what the volume is. Is that, maybe I'm not understanding your question?
No. It just seems like something that's very narrow, right? Like you wouldn't have to turn it up as loud, right? Let's say perceptually, to sound like it's the same volume, would you have to turn the other one that has a wider pattern? Would you have to turn it up louder or less loud?
So I think that, and it sounds like I'm being a smart ass. I'm not.
Yeah, no.
So SPL is SPL, right? So if it's 82 dB, then it's 82 dB. But when you're talking about in-room response, like, so if you have a more narrow pattern and these are flat on axis, then more than likely you're going to have a more sloped in-room response, as opposed to something that's the same on axis but much wider. And assuming these have like assuming the off-axis response trends about the same way down, right? So that's the key here, is to understand the off-axis response. It's got to be trending about the same way between the two different types of speakers. So going back to that example, then if you have flat on axis but you have very wide radiation, say like a ribbon type tweeter or something like that, then you're going to have probably more of or less of a sloped in-room response. And typically what I've seen is, if it's not well-controlled directivity, you'll have a sloping response up until like maybe 4 or 5 kilohertz, and then it'll kind of flatten out. And that flattened out portion of the estimated in-room response is what makes it sound bright. So it really and truly can vary. Room treatment can help a speaker that's very wide not sound so bright in a room, because it absorbs those higher frequencies and lets the mid-range frequencies kind of keep going. So that can help make that plateaued high frequency part just fall down a little bit more. But you've got to be careful with room treatment as well. I did see where somebody mentioned that room treatment will help the soundstage sound wider. And in my experience, that's not really true. If you are absorbing the sidewall reflections, those sidewall reflections are what gives you the sense of more width in the soundstage. Those are kind of like additional point sources, but they're close enough in time most of the time that they're not distinctly different to your hearing. So it just sounds like more ambiance in the soundstage. So, and that's why like this stuff can be really, really tricky, like everything that I've just said, I can caveat at least probably 5 or 6 ways, so.
Okay.
Just speaking in general.
Would it be easier? I guess I would love for for you to review something that's like an omnidirectional speaker, just to
I would
see
love
the
to have-
extreme example. Let me see the extreme example.
Right.
Okay?
No, I would love to have that opportunity too. I've looked for some.
What would the directivity look like? The DI
Be
directivity
flat.
index?
If it's truly omnidirectional, it'll be dead flat.
Flat. Okay.
Dead flat. Yeah, because everything. So DI is related back to the. Some people use the on-axis response, but the the listening window is really what the DI is compared to. So
Okay.
you compare the listening window, which is plus or minus 30 degrees to the side, plus or minus 10 degrees up and down.
That's
You compare
it.
that to everything else around you.
AaronsAudiocorner.com. Just so
Yeah.
people, because remember they're saying, "Oh well, I'm getting bored because I can't see what's going on." Okay, I'll bring one up. Which one should I bring up?
Oh.
Just anyone? I'll bring up a BMR. Where is it?
Sure,
There you
go for it.
BMR.
Yep.
Just so we understand what you're saying. Okay, here we go.
Three-dimensional
Boom.
soundstage. Yeah, me too.
Okay, here we go.
So just a little tidbit for those of you who are
Boom.
interested. I've got some Omni speakers here. I wasn't going to mention it, but I've got some
Nice.
Omni speakers here. So
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let's just say the opposite of an Omni would be something that's very
yeah, so the
narrow.
two extremes you could have is completely omnidirectional, where you have just a huge sphere of sound and it sounds the exact same way no matter where you are relative to that speaker. No,
if you put it in the
exact
center
same
of the
way.
room, you could go
If you
all
put it in
around
the
it
same-
and sound the same.
yeah, well, I mean, yeah,
No?
assuming the room is perfectly symmetrical, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then the opposite of that
And then
would
the opposite
be,
would be like a laser beam of sound for all frequencies, but you're
And-
never
and-
going to have that.
and how would this slope look like here? This directivity index.
The directivity index for
I guess my question would be what's the highest slope that you could possibly have?
Honestly, I don't know. I want to say probably. So if you take a laser beam, it's directing. Yeah, I don't know. Could it be like? I have to think about that if I'm being honest.
That helps me because in order to understand this directivity, this red line or this blue line, I need to know what the extreme is, right?
And I've talked about that before.
Is it straight up, right? No, no, right? It's not straight
No,
up.
yeah, it can't be straight up, just because then it's not covering all the frequencies. But
Right.
what is that?
45 degrees? Would that be the most
Well,
extreme?
think about it in terms of decibel, right? So on the left side, your 40
Yeah.
dB would be your DI 0 point. If the directivity index were flat, then you would have that straight through there.
Okay, so that'd be just flat. And omnidirectional would just be here,
Omnidirectional would just
boom,
be
straight.
flat.
Okay.
But I've actually tried to model a laser beam type speaker because I was curious about it and I couldn't figure out how to do it in Virtuix CAD, so I just gave up. But it would
what's
be
the
very,
most
very
slope
steep.
that you've ever seen here? Because
Hold on.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be steep.
No?
Oh no, it would be flat and it would be all up the front. Yeah, so we would probably need a different graphic for that. So if you take 0 dB, you can go below 0.
All right.
Douchebags, yeah.
Hey, you know what? You should listen. This is
Yeah.
some important stuff.
Some people don't care, some people do
It's
care.
okay. It's okay.
It all depends.
Yeah.
It all depends.
Yep.
I'm interested. So so what would it look like then?
I got a jet. I
don't
got
care,
bro.
This is how I felt last week
Me and
when I
Aaron
was
will
listening
go.
to Oro versus Atmos.
Take care, bro. I'll talk to you soon.
You
All
gotta
right.
mow your
Later,
yard.
guys.
All right, later.
Have a good one. For those of you in the chat, yeah.
Yeah.
You too.
That's not nice.
Love you, bro. Bye.
Hey, if you come
All right.
back and watch this later, Chana, I hate your face.
All right. So
All right.
what are we looking at?
All right, so let's start over. So directivity index is just a comparison between the listening window. I keep wanting to say linkwidth. The listening window and the rest of the sound that's spread out throughout the speaker, right? So if you have a perfectly omnidirectional speaker, then your directivity index toward the bottom would be 0 dB, right? It would just be 0 dB. That would be it. Now, if you have sound that is radiating more toward the back of the speaker than the sound that is from the listening window, then it would be negative. So you go negative dB. If you have sound that is radiating more, and I don't go negative on that graph. If you have sound that's radiating more toward the front of the speaker, then it is going to be positive. So ported speakers where they have like a rear port, they're going to go negative. That's why you see those go below like a 0 dB line. So again, going back to a perfectly omnidirectional speaker is going to be a 0 dB. A laser beam focused speaker is going to be, I don't know what level it would be at, but it would be a flat line and it would be positive.
So it'd go up and then straight.
I believe so. Yeah.
Wow. See,
Yeah.
I didn't understand that, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that's helpful to understand what this graph means, because I misunderstood this as looking at for some reason the slope of this.
So that tells you like how much the radiation pattern is narrowing compared to the listening window. But the thing is, like, the reason it's narrowing is because lower frequencies typically are omnidirectional, and as they go higher, as the speaker goes higher in frequency, it starts to narrow up. Right. Now that speaker only looks like it narrows up on the early reflections by about 5 dB. So that's how you can tell that that's a wide speaker. And if you compared that to something like the Arendelle, then it's probably like plus 10 dB.
Okay, so what does this mean that this line is up here? Let's just say it's at 1 kilohertz, it's here at, I don't know, 47 dB. Or what is that? Up
that'd be like
6,
say like plus 7 dB.
Plus 7 dB.
If it's 47 and 40 is your baseline, then yeah, plus 7.
Okay, so what does that mean? That it's up here and not at 0, right?
So relative to the listening window, the sound power at that frequency is plus 7 dB.
Okay. And then if I go here to your website and then click on loudspeakers, and what's a Arendelle?
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Okay, so this is different here. Okay, so at 1 kilohertz even, and especially above that, now we're much higher than, or not much higher, but it's higher than that 7 dB that we were talking about earlier, right?
Actually, no, I don't know, man.
That
looks more narrow or more lower. So
what's happening here?
1723. I'm trying to think here. Scroll up for me, please, just to make sure. Okay. No, that's good. That's good. So listening window minus the sound that's behind it. Most all of it's at the front. So you're closer to a flat line at above about 1K. I mean, so that's basically just telling you all the sound is radiated forward from the speaker, and it's getting narrower and narrower. But I guess the thing is with this speaker, it's not super omnidirectional at lower frequencies than the BMR was. So yeah, I'd have to go back and compare those side by side to look and see what the difference is in the lower frequencies, because that seems to be driving it more than anything.
Okay, hold on.
Honestly, I'm a bit surprised.
This might be easier to do it this way. Let me stop this. Let me do this window. I think this is better here. Can I do this? If I just...
What? Oh, you were already playing.
Dude, I told you I was looking at these. I'm like, I don't understand what I'm hearing here. Right? Because when I look at the directivity, I'm like, I probably don't understand how to read this because they don't look extremely different based on this. So I'm scrolling through the top. Top is BMR. This one's Eclipse RP600 M2.
Okay, so the listening window is already narrowed up.
Arendelle.
That one's about the same. So
these are the two that everybody said sounded very similar, right?
The Eclipse and the Arendelle. Yeah. Yeah.
And I go back and forth between these two, right?
Right. Then, well, to me, I wouldn't even use that graphic. I like the polar plots more, the globe ones, because they kind of give you a better quick idea of the radiation window. From that, I had to like try to do math in my head to figure out. I want to say that it's 6 dB for every 90 degrees.
Got it. Okay. So this is not the right thing to look at.
Yeah, I wouldn't look at that. That's why in the video I focused on the globe plots.
And that's what I noticed too, because that one is very obviously different.
Right. Yeah. And that one stands out. But see, the fact that this one is relative, that makes it harder to determine for sure, exactly what you're hearing in terms of soundstage width. That's why I use that globe plot, because for me, it's like very quick, right off the bat. Look where the red is, done.
Okay, so I guess my point is, how do I read this? Right? Because we talk about this all the time. Right. How do I read this? I don't know if I understand from here what I can and cannot.
Generally speaking, what you're looking for there is just smoothness, right? The level that kind of gives you an indication of how much the off-axis response is falling relative to the listening window. But I rarely even look at this thing for level. I look at this for general smoothness. So if it's smooth, then that means that you can EQ it. If it's not, then that means you're going to have more trouble trying to fix it with EQ.
Mm-hmm.
So that speaker right there, that one right there, you got it right now. That's the Arendal. And so if you look at the dashed early reflections line, which is what I would generally use for equalization stuff, that tells you the fact that it's, the bottom one, the bottom early reflections directivity index.
Okay.
The DI, the shape or the, not the shape, the smoothness of it.
Yeah.
Is what gives you an indication of if you can EQ it or not, because that's relative to, that's basically saying like, hey, at these specific angles, how controlled is the response? And if it's controlled, then that means you can equalize it. If it's not, then that means it's spraying out different energy at different levels on versus off axis. So let's say you have an issue with the on axis response and you want to try to correct it. Well, with a poor control directivity type speaker, when you go to make that correction on axis, well, you do the same thing to the off axis and you may not have wanted to. So for example, let's say you've got a dip on axis and you want to EQ it up because you think, oh, I want to make this flat. Well, off axis of that same frequency at 40 degrees, you may have a huge peak. Well, that huge peak is going to influence what you hear in your room. And by EQing up the zero or the on axis response, you've also EQ'd up the 40-degree response. Right? Does that make sense?
Oh, okay. So here we go. I thought this might be do you think the Dutch and Dutch 8C might be a
good one? That's very well controlled directivity
because of the cardioid.
So I think it's probably more omni. Well, no, I'm sorry. It should just be bumped up, right?
Yeah. So here we go. Because what I'm trying to understand is how to read this thing. So here we go. Here's the Dutch and Dutch 8C. All right. So for those who don't know, it's this crazy speaker that has all kinds of DSP and it's using all kinds of like crazy stuff to what?
Yeah, basically cancels out the
back.
Yep, exactly. Yep. Yeah, so you can tell from that one at the low frequencies, you can see that it's pretty much omnidirectional because it's going to be around 0 dB. Actually, I take that back. For this particular one at the low frequencies, there's 2 subwoofers in the back. So they're going to bump to, good explanation at that time here. Okay. So they're going to have the DI values that are going to be below 0. So in your graphic here, we can actually see it better. There's that dashed gray line.
Okay.
That's your baseline. That's your 0 dB directivity index baseline. So anything below that, more sound is radiated toward the back. Anything in front of that, more sound is radiated toward the front.
Interesting.
Yeah. And the further you go in radiation toward the front, like the more narrow it's, the higher those values, those DI dash lines are going to be above that gray dash line. So let's see here. So with this particular speaker, yeah, it's since it's more cardioid, it means it's sending less energy to the back.
This is I'm lost, y'all. Hey, you don't want to hear something? I review speakers. This is my job. I'm a little bit lost, and this is the reason I'm asking, because I figure, you know what? It's okay. It's okay that you're lost because I'm lost, right? I'm trying to figure this out too. So for the 65 people who are still interested in what we're saying,
they're probably not.
You guys are hardcore because this is some pretty crazy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. They're probably not listening. Well, I mean, for what it's worth, I have like a whole series of videos on explaining all of this data. And I step through, there's like 6 or 7 different videos that I make. And one of them, I have a video for each set of data. So I have a video directed toward just this kind of graphic. And I'm saying, this is exactly what this means. And I translate it into like, I guess, real world application.
We're trying to learn here. Yeah. And you know what? Audio system specialist, he says it. He wants to understand the practical application, and that's where I'm at, right? Like, how do I explain this to, my neighbor or, somebody else? Because if I can't understand it, then there's no way I can explain it. So I see the graph, I understand all this, but I'm trying to
make it make sense, right?
Yeah. And that's why I thought the extreme version of an omni versus something that's very laser focused would be interesting. And so this is kind of has that response that you're saying where it kind of goes up and then straight, right?
Right. Yep.
Is that what we would expect?
Yep.
From
a cardioid design. Across. Yeah, for a cardioid design, right? And again, for what it's worth, I do have, if anybody is interested, go watch my playlist of understanding the measurements, because I break all this down there, and I do probably a much better job because I've practiced. So But yeah, so the red line is your sound power directivity. I rarely pay any attention to that. I mean, bass, that's what it matters. But you're hearing most of the sound is going to be coming from the front of the speaker in the room anyway, above like maybe 300, 400, 500 hertz or so. And you can't really do much about that because that's all room driven.
So does it matter how far it is above that baseline? Like, what does that tell me how far it is above?
That tells you how much energy is directed toward the front of that speaker. Does that make sense? So scroll down toward the polar plot or the globe plot. It'll make more sense when you look at that.
Let's do horizontal.
Boom,
right?
there you go. So red is higher energy, and then blue is the lowest energy. So you can see how you've got a whole bunch of energy put toward the front, right? And even like the yellow. So if you can pull up like I don't know, maybe that BMR speaker, if you want to pull that up. I think basically at this point it's just me and Joe talking, and anybody else who's bored is just watching.
Whoever's here, I appreciate you hanging out because
I am all for it.
I think I like to be the guy in the class where I know that people don't get it.
Okay, no,
I'll
you're
just
good.
be the guy who I don't get it, and everybody's like, yes.
No, I've always been that way, man. Because you got to ask if you want to learn, you got to ask. So the main thing to pay attention to with this one is look at the yellow and see how much is going toward the back of the speaker at the lower frequencies, right? Like let's pay, so the 200 hertz is dead center, and then as you go out to the furthest range, it's 20 kilohertz. So then, if you can flip back over to the Dutch and Dutch.
It's not that easy to while I'm screen sharing because it shares one tab.
Okay,
but I'll just flip back to that 8C. Trying to be quick here. 8C, and then scroll down to the same plot.
Yeah.
Okay, globe plot. Boom. All right. So
in general, you can see there's less energy spread toward the back of that speaker, and that's what makes that particular speaker a cardioid design. And so looking at the higher frequencies doesn't really help you much because most every speaker toward the higher frequencies above like 500 hertz to 1 kilohertz is pretty much shooting the majority of its energy out toward the front. So with a cardio design, you're probably going to pay more attention to the lower frequencies. And that's where you would really kind of tell the difference there is that this is a true cardioid design. So between like 200 to 500 hertz is where you want to look at. And you can see that based on that data, that there's less energy sent toward the back of that particular speaker at 200 hertz to 500 hertz than there is with the other speaker.
Okay, so I think what let's just say above 500 hertz, right? That's when an omnidirectional speaker would not look like this.
Well, so you mean a typical speaker, not an omnidirectional speaker.
Well, I'm saying if you had an MBL speaker, right, omnidirectional.
Yeah,
what would we expect to see for these higher frequencies? Would it be red all around?
Red all. That whole thing will be red, and then if the speaker were perfectly flat and it were truly omnidirectional, that would be one solid red dot. That would be it.
Got it. Okay,
yeah,
so that would be red above here, but even the MBL speaker, well, yeah, it just, I guess most speakers are kind of reddish around here in the lower frequencies anyway, right? Except for this one.
Right. Yeah, because exactly right. Because most speakers are omnidirectional at low frequencies.
Okay.
Yeah.
And except because this one's that weird. Here's a CAF R3.
That's fine.
Let's go random to the next one here. So this one is not utilizing that technology.
Right.
Not canceling that. Okay. So here at these lower frequencies, I guess where it's tricky is because I never looked at. Okay, this is already at 500 right here.
Right.
You know, like this is a small amount here. You know, most of this here is already 1 kilohertz and above, right?
So if you look at
transition frequency,
right. So if you look at 200, which is dead in the center, that's 200 hertz. So that's a circle. That means 360 degrees bass is playing out of that speaker. And then if you go to the next step, which I think is 320, you can pretty much see that still it's 360 degrees bass is playing out of that speaker. And then when you get to 510 hertz, you can see that it's no longer 360 degrees. It's like, what is that? About 120, 110 degrees on each side. And then there's a little bit of a gap because there's some energy leaking out of the port back there. So Yeah, then when you go back to the cardioid, which I'm not saying to do that, but when you go back to the cardioid, basically what you would have is that plus or minus 90-degree line that's dead in the middle.
Mhm.
You won't see any red behind that because it's a cardioid design, so no bass is being sent toward the back of that speaker between like 100 hertz and above, or I guess above 100 hertz.
Yeah. All these people are like, oh man, what is he saying? I'm suffering from info overload at the moment. I get it.
Yep.
You know, I'm just taking the advantage of this because even though I get to talk to Aaron on a regular basis, when I ask these kind of questions, he's like, he just answers like real quick, and I'm like, I still don't get it, man. I'm gonna have to ask you 10 more times,
just
try to get
ask
a
me,
little
dude.
piece and get a little bit more. So I'm taking advantage.
Well,
of
that's
the
how I
fact that
feel
we're
when I
here and
ask
he's
you guys
explaining.
about Atmos and cameras and all that stuff. Y'all are just like
Yeah,
way above. I'm just like, just give me the answer. I don't need everything else.
yeah. So
What camera should I buy?
I think it might be interesting for a very small group of people. Like,
Yeah, very small
55
group.
people are still in here. For the folks who are interested in some of this, to maybe like, you know, go through it with somebody who can ask questions back, right? So when you say this is what it is, I think it's helpful for somebody to say, I don't understand what you just said.
Yeah, no,
You know?
I agree.
Can we go over that real quick?
Yep.
So
It's
anyway.
not supposed to be easy. I mean, realistically, it's not terribly hard to understand when you have a good baseline of what speakers do.
Mhm.
But if you don't really quite understand, like about how low frequencies are omnidirectional and high frequencies are more directional, that's when this kind of stuff is harder to understand. And I think that's when people just give up.
And I think this is a key though, because you're all about using objective data to give you more information. But the other part of that is understanding how to read this stuff, right?
Right.
If I can't understand this for myself, then I'm relying on you to tell me.
And you hope that I'm not lying.
Why look at the data? Why not just listen to you?
Right.
Right. So I think
For
that's
sure,
just
man.
the other part, like understanding for myself.
Yep.
And helping other people understand. So we're all talking about the same exact thing. We all have the same amount of understanding as far as like what this is all telling us. I think that's the important part. But anyway,
yeah, I agree.
I think we gotta go.
Yeah, man. I don't think anybody's here
outro?
anymore.
Do a little outro for us.
You got this.
No, I don't do this.
Are
yeah,
you I was like just making yourself go away. Yeah. So that's it. We'll talk to y'all later.
Yeah, join patreon.com/daily HiFi if you want to talk to us in the after show, and I'll be there talking to you guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna go eat.
Yes, I'll probably have to do that too.
That sounds
good. See you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Take care.